Hi, I'm Mark Cleghorn, the training director for the Xperience Group, and today I'm joined by Colin Crowdy from the Gloucester Dog Photographer. Hi, Colin. How are you, sir?
Oh, hi, Mark. How are you? I'm very well, thanks.
Yeah, good, good. Look, Colin, thanks for giving me some time today to quickly chat about your business. I wanted to kind of just do some short interviews so that people can get to know the man behind the business, if that makes sense. Often, clients come in and they basically see that you're a great dog photographer. Oh, I let the kind of the dog out the bag then, but they know you're a great photographer. But I like them to kind of get know a little bit about you. How did you kind of first get into photography, and can you tell us a little bit about the business, what it is today?
Yeah, sure. Well, I first got into photography when I was 12 years old, so that was more
400
time
years
ago
ago,
than.
something
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad gave me an old Kiev rangefinder camera. It was an old Russian
Yeah.
thing. It was just a great big chunk of aluminium, and it had all these little diodes on the front where you had to line it up to get the correct exposure, and it was a film camera. And it was all trial and error. And I didn't, the first 3 or 4 rolls of film that I put through the camera, I had no idea what I was doing. I think the instructions were pretty much in Russian anyway, so it was a chore. But when you get those first pictures back in those days, you'd send them off to Boots, and they'd come back in this little Boots envelope, and you'd open them up, and a roll of 12 and 11 of them would be rubbish, and one would be like almost in focus and almost correctly exposed, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a bug. And 124 roll films later, that I was getting a lot better, and that did give me the bug, and it gave me the incentive to move forward. And well, here we are today after going through different transitions of things. And of course, we're no longer on 35mm film, we're on digital now, so it's infinitely much easier.
When did you decide to become a specialist in dog?
Well, I started out photography back in the 1980s in London, because I'm from London. Although I've lost the accent now, that's living in Gloucester for a while, but it comes out every now and then. And I started out as a wedding photographer back in the 80s, but I wasn't your traditional wedding photographer. I was an Asian wedding photographer.
Okay.
And my very first gig, for want of a better phrase, was in one of the famous mosques. And back in those days, they were famous for different reasons. But Finsbury Park Mosque in North London, I did my first Asian wedding there, which was an experience. And yeah, I did that for about 15 years. And then, of course, we moved out of London. And then I decided weddings wasn't really a great thing, because we got to the point where everybody was a wedding photographer, and mobile phones were becoming quite prevalent, and everybody had a mobile phone, and let's take pictures behind the photographer, and that's not good for the bride and groom or the photographer. So I opened my first studio, and decided to make the transition down from weddings to children and families. And I did that for a number of years. And then I joined the Xperience Group, probably in 2017 now. And pretty much within 6 months of joining the Xperience Group, I transitioned from families and children to being a specialist dog photographer.
Okay, where you operate from is the secret, is in your business name anyway, isn't it? So whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in Gloucester now.
And I know you operate from a garden studio, really. So you offer a pretty much a personal and a bespoke service for clients, isn't it, really? So again, you're off the beaten high street, as it were. So at least you get to offer something kind of special. 2020 was quite a big year for you as well, wasn't it? Because your first book, I'll bring it up for you, The Underdog, was released and things, really. And again, that was great to actually see you were one of the first photographers to actually really adapt and adopt this kind of creativity within your business. Is this a general part of your photography, or is this a specialist project that you do? How does it work for you?
Well, in 2019, when we first started that project, I was filming underdogs every other weekend. And then we had enough material for the book. And now we only shoot underdogs on request. But I've had a lot of requests for underdogs since the book was published in November. But sadly, as we all know, we're currently in lockdown again, so that's been a bit difficult. But yeah, I've had a lot of requests from that book being published for me to do underdogs again. So when we're back open, we'll be doing some more of those.
Brilliant. I diversified there. I do apologise.
Anyway,
but I love that book. Thank you very much for sending me my signed copy. I love it. Anyway, okay, so I'm coming with Ebony. That's my dog, Labrador. You know her very well. I'm coming for a shoot. What's the best bit of advice that you can give to me before I leave the house?
the best bit of advice I can give to you before you bring Emily along, take her for a long walk. Tire her out. Yeah. If you can't tire her out, at least take her for a little walk as soon as you get out the car, so she can have a sniff around, she can and do her business if she needs to. But sometimes it's best to give them a good 10-minute run in a park if you can't do anything else beforehand, because dogs have boundless amounts of energy. And when they're in the studio, all they want to do is run around and round and round. And some dogs, it's the wall of death, and they don't stop.
Okay, brilliant. As far as for me is concerned, Ebony is not allowed on furniture. That's something that is inherent with us. Do I need to tell you that before the session, or do I need to tell you that on the day? What's the best way for me to tell you what there are restrictions of what she can and she cannot do?
Well, the only thing that we ask you to tell us with our pre-consultation that we do with you is if the dog has any allergies to any food, because obviously being a specialist dog photography studio, we have a range of treats and toys and things that dogs can chew. And obviously some dogs do have allergies to certain foods. So we always ask if there's any specific things treat-wise that they can't have. With regards to furniture, obviously, as you know, we've got our famous Chesterfields that all the dogs go on. But the very first thing I always ask a customer is, are the dogs allowed on the furniture in the studio at the home? Because I've had this before when the customer said, oh, they're not allowed on the furniture at home, but it will be fine. It's not fine, because once you let the dog on the furniture in the studio, they think it's okay to go home. And then they go home after a walk, covered in mud, jump on the nice furniture.
Yeah.
So
and
I
that's
always
one of
ask
the
that question.
That's one of the reasons she's not allowed on the furniture, is because she's a swimmer. And so basically, but I just wanted to kind of ask that, because that it would be a concern for me, is that obviously, it's not natural for her. So B, it was kind of thing. I just wondered if I needed to kind of talk about that in advance. Look, remind us where we can go and see some work and kind of get in touch with you anyway before we go on. Can you? What's the best place for me to go and see photography?
The best place to see some of my current photography is on the Gloucester Dog Photographer website, and that is www.thegloucesterdogphotographer.co.uk.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And there's obviously ways for me to get in touch with you and book a shoot on there and everything else, is there?
Oh yes, there's a book now link, and there's also an ask us a question page where you can see where we are on the map, and you can also email us, contact us via social media, or obviously telephone us as well.
Cool. I'm going to throw you a question, and it's really hard to answer because we've got to talk about it ourselves. But what makes you special compared to another photographer, do you think? What makes you different?
One of the things that everybody always says when they come to me is a phrase that everybody always hears, and I say it 24 times whenever I'm talking to a customer, and that phrase is, it's all about the dog. Because everything centers around the dog. It's not about the customer, it's not about me, it's all about the dog. Everything we do, from the second we have communication with the customer, for when they come in the front door to when they leave after the shoot, it's all about the dog. And that's because I'm a specialist dog photographer. I've owned dogs all my life, so I know dogs, I understand dogs. I don't shoot anything else but dogs, the occasional cat. But generally, everything is about the dog. And that's what differentiates us from some of the other photographers locally who, whilst they might shoot dogs, they also shoot
Other things,
parents
families.
and babies and general general all-round photographers.
So I was going to ask you the question about why is being a portrait photographer important to you? So why is being a portrait photographer important to you? I think you just answered it, because it's all about the dog, yeah?
Absolutely, totally, yeah. It's all about the dog, and it's important for me because it gives me the opportunity to embrace two of my biggest passions in life, photography and animals, and it's a good symbiotic connection between the two.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So I'll give you a little bit of a plug for your book again. It's called Underdogs, okay? And I'm sure it's available on most kind of websites and so on with it. So congratulations on that. And again, thanks very much for my copy. I'm loving the photography that you do, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. You're a great guy, which I think is more important than anything else. You're a straight guy, and I love it. Remind people again where they can go and see more information about your photography and so on. Can you just do that for me before we finish?
Yeah, sure. You can. One of the best places to see my photography is either on Instagram, so that's the Gloucester Dog Photographer, Facebook, so that's the Gloucester Dog Photographer, or the internet, www.theglousterdogphotographer, or you can now get me on Twitter as well, and that is @DogGloucester. So slightly different on that one.
Brilliant. Colin, thank you so much. I can't wait till we get together again. I know you have as much passion for my dog as I do in things, really. I know we're all missing each other and things, really. Colin, take care of yourself. Love you to speak to you. We'll catch up in the next few weeks and we'll have a chat.